Hello again, Internet. This is Angry Mojo Games with another assembly tutorial for your viewing pleasure. Here we have our Hexopolis City Stuff Scatter Pack. Now, this is how it comes shipped. Great big pile of wood. Looks a little bit intimidating. Trust me, it's not. First thing we're going to do, after we clean all the pieces along the edges with rubbing alcohol and a rag, make sure that we get all the soot from manufacturing up. If you're not careful, that soot can actually prevent the glue from forming a good bond. So you want to make sure you go ahead and get that up. Now in this, we've got 3 pieces of modern art, a reflecting pond, 2 bus stops, 3 areas of ad space, and an anachronistic police call box. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my art on and assemble my modern art. First one is going to be this little thing. These are going to be 3 pieces you're going to need. Now, mind you, the base, there's another base with the 4 holes closer in. We're going to go with the ones that's really far out. Take your glue, run a line down like that, run a line down like that. Take piece 1, put it in there. Take piece 2, put it in there. Kabam! There you have your first piece of modern art. Don't you feel artistic? Second, we're going to need that base. It's the one with the 4 holes on the inside. Now we're going to go ahead and find all these little hexagons with the notches and tabs. We're going to set them aside, and we're going to go ahead and start using those. Now this is one of the ones where you can tell it's in the future because it's all made out of hexagons. And I really wish that was a joke sometimes. So the first ones you're going to need, 4 of these have a notch and a tab. These are going to be the first 4 that you put on. Go and put a little bit of glue right over each one of these holes. And take these and put them in however you want them. Personally, I like putting them opposite each other like this. Just like that. Now the next ones you're going to separate are the ones that only have 1 notch in them. These are going to go on the top. So next, just put a little bit of glue in each one of these notches. And put another one of these hexagons in like this. Now, next step up, we have only 2, so that these things will be of varying size. I will leave it up to you as to what that artistic interpretation means. And then finally, a little bit more glue. If you'd like, you can go ahead and actually glue on the tabs of the final pieces, but this is one of the pieces where I find that you need a little bit more to keep it stable as I knock over my own glue. That happens. And voila! We have our second piece of modern art. Set that aside. Third piece, we're going to need the final base, the one with the single hole in it, this little stem, as well as all of these circles. Now this is the one that can get a little bit tricky, but you also have options on how you're going to build it. So the first thing I do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go and put a little bit of glue on the inside of this peg. There it goes. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, put it there, and one by one, I'm going to go and take these, and I'm going to basically impale them on this peg. Now, if you notice, square holes in half of these are rotated 45 degrees. The reason they do that, so I can put a little bit of glue on that side, and then when I put it on, it is slightly offset. Now, as long as I alternate the ones that are rotated and the ones that are not. Piece will form a helix. Very simple. Now, if you want, you can double stack them so that there are fewer pieces, and the helix is a little bit tighter. Or you can just put these things on all higgledy-piggledy and make it look random and chaotic. If you're the one assembling it, and it's your box, do whatever it is you want to do. Because always remember, I'm not the boss of you. Except for you. I am, in fact, the boss of you. That's a lie. Now, once I go ahead and pull this one in, you're going to notice that it is not nearly as intimidating with that giant pile of pieces. Granted, it makes perfect sense if you're a little bit nervous when you get a giant box of random pieces of wood dropped onto your belt, onto your desk. You got to figure out how to put them together. But a little bit of dry fitting, a little bit of work, pretty much everything we do is very straightforward. Now, it doesn't really matter if you start with one of the offset ones or one of the straight pieces. It's all going to wind up looking the same in the end. While it may seem a tiny bit tedious, stacking this many pieces of MDF from a 2-inch high thing, end result is worth it. Plus, you get to sit here and listen to my inane prattling for however long this takes. And there we go. We got our third piece of modern art. Next, we're going to move on to our anachronistic police call box because of this little thing. It's a tiny piece. Make sure you have it. The police call box should be separated into its own little bag just to make sure that little piece doesn't get lost. So, got that tiny little piece. We got 4 walls. Got a base, we got a bottom, got a roof, and an additional little piece for the roof. Go and take a little bit of glue, put it in like that. And then one by one on these walls, you're going to build a box. On the roof, on the underside, unless you want the scorch marks facing up, which is perfectly fine. Once again, if you're going to paint it, it's not a problem. Now this might require a tiny bit of jimmying to fit in. Shouldn't be too bad. Place that piece on top. And then the hole between this piece and the roof, you're going to impale with this tiny little itty bitty thing. And voila, ready for adventures in time and space. All right, so we're starting to get through our giant pile. Next, we're going to work on those little advertising spaces that form such wonderful and convenient pieces of scatter terrain. Now, this set comes with 3 of them. Each one will have 3 of these walls, 1 bottom piece and 1 top piece. So, much like police call box, put a tiny bit of glue there, piece here, piece here, let's put that around, and a piece here. Now the nice thing is, these little sections are flat, so if you'd like, you can print out your own advertisements for whatever sort of buildings that you want to have inside your version of Hexopolis, or whatever building you have, or whatever city you have, because it's your game, not mine. In fact, we'd love it if you made a different city, because creativity is what gaming is all about. Thus, we have one of the ad spaces done. Let's take our second one. Now at this point you might also be asking, why is it that I'm sitting here assembling 3 of these in the entire kit when there's a lot of duplications? I'm glad you asked. We want to show you in real time exactly how fast and easy these things are to put together. We'll go ahead and take you through any pitfalls you might come across, because there are a couple individual little design quirks that you need to be aware of. Now, just so you know, at the time that this video is being shot, these ad spaces are available individually. So if you want more of them, you can. All right, we are reaching the end. Next, it is time for the bus stops. All right, bus stops are also very simple. Like everything. A little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here. Put it into the roof or the floor, depending on how stable you want the structure to be. Because glue falling over is a thing. Now these bus stops are mostly empty, so they're probably not going to provide very much cover to anybody behind them, but they are a nice little bit of nice little cosmetic piece to let people know that wherever it is that you're playing is an actual city with mass transit. Now while this is drying, I like to put it on its back. That way the sides do not give out. Give this one extra drying time, because this is one of the ones that is less stable amongst the group, mostly because you're working with these tiny little sides for the hutch. If you find yourself dropping and putting a whole lot of glue on, like that, you can always take another piece, separate aside, so that way you can even save yourself a little bit of time. Because these things don't glue together quickly anyway. Again, be careful, it is a little wibbly wobbly. And we'll go ahead and set that aside. Alright, so next we have the benches for the bus stops. Of course, you can put them elsewhere if you want. A little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here. And the side goes on just like that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, and there's the second bench. Lastly, we have the reflecting pool. Now, this is the one piece in this entire set where you could potentially get hung up. Even though it's a very simple construction, it's important to note that these hexagons are not perfectly symmetrical, and that is a design choice. It makes it look a little bit more natural, a little bit more realistic. But to assemble this, all you got to do is run a thing of glue around like that. Line it mostly centered, or as centered as you can. There's not really much play, so if the entire thing is on there, then it's probably going to be pretty darn centered. And then you just stack them. Super easy. Now, like so many of our things, you may notice there's a lot of glue on the side here. Just take your finger, run along the edges. Unless you want that beaded up glue look when you paint it, because it can look like mortar or dripping water or anything like that. Just make sure we're straight. And voila! We have the reflecting pool done. Now at this point, we've got our reflecting pool. I've seen a lot of people take this, the helix art and put it in the middle and call it a fountain, which is a cool idea. But we got our 3 pieces, modern art, our 3 ad space, two bus stops, and this one I put the roof on backwards, and that is why it didn't completely fit. Look at me go, catching my mistakes. We make them too. Nice thing is once the glue gets tacky, it's very, very sticky. We have 2 benches and the anachronistic police call box. Now, in case you can't tell, this is a lot of scattered terrain that you wind up getting out of this box. Even though it does look like just a big old box of wood, look how much you wind up getting into it, and look how quickly it goes together. So, in conclusion, enjoy your pieces of terrain. Once again, this is Angry Mojo Games. Happy gaming!